Good morning, traders. It's Friday, October the 9th. Taking a look at the charts, we continue to have a lot of interesting price action going on, and we're really into this crunch time where we're only a few weeks away from the election and potential stimulus plan or plans. The market is trying to put in a bottom here. Looks like we're starting to get a bottom in the SP500. Looks like you could argue it's a little inverse head and shoulders, or it's really just a rounding formation. If you take a look at this daily chart of the short-term trend. Now you can see here we had some big range bars and some chop through here, and then more or less the market had a little bit of a blow off top, reverse sold off, and then we kind of chopped around in this range and dipped down and started a downtrend, and now it's back up and it's trading through this area. Now it's just starting to break these highs right here. So yesterday it closed above those, which is a good sign. Today the markets are set to open slightly higher, which should kick things into a new technical uptrend going forward. So we could start to see this pick up speed, and we could see the market run going into the elections. So we'll see if this if the trend can hold. But overall, markets today, or at least the SP500, should be kicking into green bars, which means it is now in an uptrend. It has cleared the downward momentum. It's held it, and now it should be starting to extend to the upside. Now, if we were to take a look over at the NASDAQ, here's the NASDAQ. It's put a bottom in. It's been flagging out, holding above the key moving averages, still flirting with this line. It's on the verge of breaking out as well. Overall, it's right on the edge of popping and moving higher. And I think this pattern very similar to what we saw back here on the SP500, where the market puts in a correction and then consolidates for a bit, and then it starts to break and run, and it could be a little bit choppy till we break a previous high, which it could get up here and start to get choppy. We've got a previous high right here, and then if it can break that, we could be off for another run. This is a nice month-long consolidation, another month-long consolidation, and we'll just have to see. The trend is kicking back into an uptrend. We didn't have any follow through to the downside. Instead, the markets are firming up and trying to go higher. Now, if we take a look over at the Russell 2000, it's up 0.8%. I talked about this a little while ago, how it had quickly outperformed the rest of the market and picked up speed to the upside. It really is definitely leading the way. It's interesting that small caps are leading. Typically, we don't see them lead the way unless they think that, I think investors are thinking the global economy is getting better and they want to move into these speculative plays. I think a lot of this has to do with stimulus and the small companies getting pretty beat up. Now, if we were to zoom back, you can see we're coming right up into major volume. There's a lot of volume, a lot of time traded up here. So we're getting into what could be a major double top or at least resistance area. But overall, it definitely led the way to the upside, and it's really extending and picking up speed as it goes into this resistance zone. Now, if we look at the Dow is just starting to break these highs as of yesterday, and this morning we're seeing it trade up near yesterday's highs. Overall, it's still under this major top over here. The last time it pushed up into this area, it got rejected. So those two indexes are still struggling to make new highs, and they're testing resistance, and we'll see how those things unfold going forward. Now, if we take a look, let's take a look at utilities. Utilities are the one thing I've talked about a couple times here. Utilities, if we just zoom in a bit, you can see here it's been on a tear, a lot like the small caps. Utilities are seen as a defensive play. So when big money doesn't know where to go, they start to move into defensive utilities. Obviously, you're going to need electricity, running water, all the utilities for your home and business, really no matter what the economy does. So people move into these. They're generally fairly high paying dividend. And we can see here yesterday we broke out above a multi-month high. And this is a big consolidation where the market ran up, it's consolidated, and yesterday it started to break out. Now it's had a really big run to get to that area, so I feel as though it's a little bit overbought. But we got to keep our eyes peeled. This level here, the next level will be around the 65, which is through the heart of this big oscillation, but more so a breakout, a high, another high, and another high. So there's going to be a major resistance around that 65 area, but you can see what happened previously in these markets where the stock market was rallying, utilities were trading in the sideways range, consolidating. Similar to what we've got right here, the stock market has been rallying, utilities have been consolidating, and then just near the end, you see them pop and start to extend and push higher, and utilities outperform the other indexes. I think it even outperformed the NASDAQ during this point, which is you don't see too often. And I think we could be coming back into that type of phase. Maybe we've already seen a good leg of that. Maybe there's only a little bit more, maybe to push up and get through this resistance area. But overall, utilities seem to be coming back to life. We got to see if it can hold this this day here. But overall, money is starting to become defensive, and utilities are definitely starting to light up and pick up speed here. Let's go take a look over at the dollar real quick. The dollar I still think is trying to put in some type of bottoming formation. It's got a bottom. I was trying to find support. And overall, it's set to open lower this morning, sharply lower, which is helping boost commodities, gold and silver. If you look at gold, gold is up 1.5%, so it's popping right up to the upper end of its range. Silver's up 3% this morning, getting right to the upper end of its range, and it's moving average resistance area. So we'll see if this can start to turn around and pick up speed and start to move higher. If we take a look at gold miners, they are set to gap up as well, obviously, with the metals up substantially. We are looking at a 57.70, somewhere in here. So it's set to gap up right just above this red bar where it gapped higher and then got crushed. We're set to gap up right there. Again, we're still in these key moving averages. We're flirting with resistance. We're flirting with this breakdown zone through the heart of this area. These while they're trying to put in a bottom, they are still making a series of lower highs and lower lows. Really, it's in the middle of its channel, and it could continue to trade through here, or potentially at least go sideways for a while before it breaks out. But overall, it's still in a short-term downtrend and under the key moving averages, under key resistance through the majority of this volume traded. So I'm starting to like it. Again, this is a big bull flag, just like we saw back over here. You get a long run, you get a bull flag, and we're getting close. This could start to break out. We could see a big run. This is a nice big bull flag, which means it should have lots of upside potential when it does start to break out or give us an early warning sign to get in. And it looks like it's very close to trying to pop and extend and get back above these moving averages in this midway point. Looking over at energies, natural gas up 4%, starting to pick up speed here. Again, pretty ugly chart. Really volatile, not looking to trade it at the moment here. Crude down 0.7%. It has gapped. Yesterday it closed above the 50-day. Today it gapped a little bit higher, starting to move back down. It is struggling again. Almost all the indexes are struggling between reversing or breaking out of a pattern, and crude is more or less a bit in a downtrend here. It's at resistance. It's close to either popping or reversing in a big way. The stock market, same thing. It's flirting with resistance, and today it could be a significant kind of breakout for the SP500. Let's take a look over at bonds real quick. Bonds down 0.25%. They're flirting with the 200-day moving average. They're down testing this big V-shaped bottom here where it got crushed, panic selling, and then rebounding back to the upside. So it's kind of flirting with those areas. Overall, we're probably going to see this continue to flounder until we see the market rebound. But overall, bonds still have this big multi-month bull flag, which you can see here. It had a multi-month and then it rallied up. Now it's got a multi-month. And I think it's just a matter of time here before we see this move back up to the 88, 192, 191 area as a safe haven play. And we're getting into this 200-day moving average, just like we're getting into over here. It took multiple months to get there, And yeah, we're getting into the election time. We could see some volatility and some fear, and money could start to move into bonds as a bit of a safe haven play for a short-term move. Last but not least, a quick look at the daily chart of Bitcoin. You can see here we have the break to the downside. This still looks and feels like a bear flag forming, but if we look at it, it is more or less trying to trade in this range. You got this key resistance area across here. We've also got this range in the near term, well, we can just draw a line up through here. It's in this little rising kind of wedge pattern where we need to see if it's going to break this. If it can break this, it's probably going to go right back up to this upper range, right around 12,200. If it gets rejected, we are most likely coming back down to this 9,000 and change, this 9,200, which is where there's going to be a lot of support. It's the 200-day. Could go all the way down to this area here, the 9,000 area, based on the Fibonacci extension. So overall, Bitcoin is, I mean, all the markets here are on the verge of popping and breaking out, or reversing and going lower. So this is pretty critical. This is going to be a pretty wild month. It has been, as the market's been oscillating, and we go into the elections here, but a lot of big moves are pending, and the market's probably going to try and shake things up. So it's adding a little bit of risk, but overall, a lot of markets and sectors are on the verge of popping or breaking down, and we just need to see where this market is going to go. Anyways, that's it for now. Talk to you in a bit. Bye-bye.